Hello, everybody, again. We'll finish off Jeremiah, up to 50, 51, 52. Try to get through this quickly because it is a long 5 pages. This is the word the Lord spoke through Jeremiah the prophet concerning Babylon and the land of Babylonians. Well, at this point, he spoke concerning all this about the country, Judah, Israel, and the failure of the people. And he spoke about the countries that stood by and watched. Now he's speaking about the conqueror, nation and peoples that conquered them, which is basically how things are going to happen. Represent back then, it represents back then, but also relate to modern times. Right now, could be this country, could be another major country. Instead, all the countries are going to fall one by one. How long it's going to take, only God knows. So this is concerning Babylon, the land of Babylonians. Announce and proclaim among the nations. Lift up a banner and proclaim it. Keep nothing back, but say. In other words, what I do, I hold nothing back. I share everything He shares with me. It's not me, not my words, not my knowledge, my wisdom. It's Him. It's His. I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I'm just a humble, simple little servant of His. Despite all that I've done for Him, all I do, He asks me, I'm just nothing. Everything is God. God is everything. So keep nothing back. When He says for you to do something, you need to go do it. When He gives you something to share, you need to share it. He is the Father. We are the children. Because if you tell your child to do something, you want it done then and there. You want it done. Pass it on. You don't want to just, okay, I'll get to it when I get to it. No. How does that make you feel as a parent? Disrespected. Unloved. So take it the same way. Babylon will be captured. Bel will be put to shame. Marduk filled with terror. Her images will be put to shame and her idols filled with terror. A nation from the north will attack her and lay waste her land. No one will live in it. Both people and animals will flee away. That's speaking of Alexander the Great. In those days, at that time, declares the Lord, the people of Israel and the people of Judah together will go in tears to seek the Lord their God. They will ask the way to Zion and turn their faces toward it. They will come and bind themselves to the Lord in an everlasting covenant that will not be forgotten. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have led them astray and caused them to roam on the mountains. So that's what they're doing now. Shepherds are causing people to go astray and roam all over the place, following no shepherd, no leader. Hopefully they turn to God themselves personally, which is better. The false shepherd, bad shepherds, false prophets, and so forth. But many are not. They just turn away from God, which is what the devil wants. They wandered over mountain and hill and forgot their own resting place. They forgot from God, who was their resting place. Whoever found them devoured them. Evil. Their enemies said, "We are not guilty, for they sinned against the Lord, their verdant pasture, the Lord, the hope of their ancestors." So those who have spiritual form of darkness, and those who serve darkness knowingly or unknowingly, think they're not doing nothing wrong. These people turn from God, that's on them. What we do to them, how we manipulate them, cause them to suffer and lead them astray, that's not on us. Again, they don't want to take ownership of their wrong. That's the way darkness is. To this day, they don't think they did anything wrong, ever. Look at Donald Trump. He doesn't think he did anything wrong. Wasn't me. And people like him. No problem. Flee out of Babylon, leave the land of the Babylonians, and be like the goats that lead the flock. For I will stir up and bring against Babylon an alliance of great nations from the land of the north. They will take up their positions against her, and from the north she will be captured. Their arrows will be like skilled warriors who do not return empty-handed. So Babylonia will be plundered. All who plunder her will have their fill, declares the Lord. Again, Alexander, the Greeks coming. Because you rejoice and are glad, you who pillage my inheritance, because you frolic like a heifer threshing grain and neigh like stallions, your mother will be greatly ashamed. She who gave you birth will be disgraced. She will be the least of the nations, a wilderness, a dry land, a desert. Because of the Lord's anger, she will not be inhabited, but will be completely desolate. All who pass Babylon will be appalled. They will scoff because of all her wounds. Take up your positions around Babylon, all who draw the bow. Shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she has sinned against the Lord. So your Lord used her. Now he's bringing them to justice. So kind of like the way he sometimes uses the evil to do some of the work. And then he turns around and punishes them for it. Because they had free will choice to not be a part of it. Everybody has free will choice. Everybody. Those who serve darkness, they have a free will choice to not serve darkness. Continue doing what they're doing. Shot against her on every side. Shoot at her, spare no arrows. She has sinned against the Lord. Shot against her on every side. Her chief surrenders. Her towers fall. Her walls are torn down. Since this is the vengeance of the Lord, take vengeance on her. Do to her as she has done to others. Cut off from Babylon the sower and the reaper with the sickle at harvest. Because of the sword of the oppressor, let everyone return to their own people. Let everyone flee to their own land. Israel is a scattered flock that lions have chased away. The first to devour them was the king of Assyria. The last to crush their bones was Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Therefore, this is what the Lord Almighty of God Israel said. The God of Israel says, I will punish the king of Babylon and his land as I punished the king of Assyria. But I will bring Israel back to their own pasture, and they will graze on Carmel and Bashan. Their appetite will be satisfied on the hills of Ephraim and Gilead. In those days, at that time, declares the Lord, search will be made for Israel's guilt, but there will be none for the sins of Judah, but none will be found. For I will forgive the remnant that I spare. Those who were left, he forgave. Attack the land of Marathaim, and those who live in Pekod. Pursue, kill, and completely destroy them, declares the Lord. Do everything I have commanded you. The noise of battle is in the land, the noise of great destruction. How broken and shattered is the hammer of the whole earth. How desolate is Babylon among the nations. I set a trap for you, Babylon, and you were caught before you knew it. You were found and captured because you opposed the Lord. The Lord has opened his arsenal and brought out the weapons of his wrath. The sovereign Lord Almighty has work to do in the land of the Babylonians. This is what he's going to do with all the countries that are going on around this world. One will be the conquerors. Others will be conquerors, lesser conquerors. And others will stand by. And they'll all be punished. Come against her from afar, break open her granaries, pile her up like heaps of grain, completely destroy her and leave her no remnant. Kill all her young bulls, let them go down to the slaughter, all her warriors. Woe to them, for their day has come, the time for them to be punished. Listen to the fugitives and refugees from Babylon, declaring in Zion how the Lord our God has taken vengeance for his temple. Summon archers against Babylon, all those who draw the bow, encamp all around her, let no one escape. Repay her for her deeds, do to her as she has done, for she has defiled the Lord, Holy One of Israel. Therefore her young men will fall in the streets, all her soldiers will be silenced in that day, declares the Lord. See, I am against you, you arrogant one, declares the Lord Almighty, for your day has come, the time for you to be punished. The arrogant one will stumble and fall, and no one will help her up. I will kindle a fire in her towns that will consume all who are around her. This is what the Lord Almighty says. The people of Israel are oppressed, the people of Judah as well. All their captives hold them fast, refusing to let them go. Yet the Redeemer is strong, the Lord Almighty is his name. He will vigorously defend their cause, so that he may bring rest to their land, but unrest to those who live in Babylon. It will be a time of suffering for many. As the conquests begin, the wars begin, whenever that's going to happen. And those who stand by will then be people taken into exile, captivity, taken away from their homes, lose their homes. Many peoples and nations, one great nation. Then, others will fall that stood by and watched. Then the conqueror itself, conquerors, will fall and be punished. Things will begin to be restored. That might be the time of respite before cataclysmic and molding of the earth. And again, this all can happen over thousands of years. But it is in stages. I don't think it'll be that long, but I don't know. That's the future, and that's God's domain. A sword against the Babylonians, declares the Lord, against those who live in Babylon, against her officials and wise men. A sword against her false prophets, they will become fools. A sword against her warriors, they will be filled with terror. A sword against her horses and chariots and all the foreigners in her ranks, they will become weaklings. A sword against her treasures, they will be plundered. A drought on her waters, they will dry up. For it is a land of idols, idols that will go mad with terror. Land of idolatry and idols. Non-living, non-physical idols and human idols. They will panic and go mad with terror. So desert creatures and hyenas will live there, and there the owl will dwell. It will never again be inhabited or lived in from generation to generation. As I overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah along with the neighboring towns, declares the Lord, so no one will live there, no people will dwell in it. Look, an army is coming from the north, a great nation of many kings, being stirred up from the ends of the earth. They are armed with bows and spears. They are cruel and without mercy. They sound like the roaring sea as they ride on their horses. They come like men in battle formation to attack you, daughter Babylon. The king of Babylon has heard reports about them. His hands hang limp. Anguish has gripped him, pain like that of a woman in labor, like a lion coming up from Jordan's thickets to a rich pasture land. I will chase Babylon from its land in an instant. Who is the chosen one I will appoint for this? Who is like me, and who can challenge me? And what shepherd can stand against me? Therefore, hear what the Lord has planned against Babylon, what he has proposed against the land of the Babylonians. The young of the flock will be dragged away, the pasture will be appalled at their fate. At the sound of Babylon's capture, the earth will tremble, its cry will resound among the nations. So, who is Babylon? Who is Israel? Judah. And who are those friends and neighbors who stand by? I will tell. This is what the Lord says, chapter 51. See, I will stir up the spirit of a destroyer against Babylon and the people of Leb Kamai. I will send foreigners to Babylon to winnow her and devastate her land. They will oppose her on every side in the day of her disaster. Let not the archer swing his bow, nor let him put on his armor. Do not spare her young men, completely destroy her army. They will fall down slain in Babylon, fatally wounded in her streets. Israel and Judah have not been forsaken by their God, the Lord Almighty, though their land is full of guilt before the Holy One of Israel. So they screwed up, and they will be punished. Whatever nation, whether it's this country, Israel itself, or other, whatever, the West against the East, it's coming. Who knows? God knows. But the first punished suffers. Don't worry about the conquerors. Their time will come too. All is in God's hands. Flee from Babylon. Run for your lives. Do not be destroyed because of her sins. It is time for the Lord's vengeance. He will pay her for what she deserves. So that time, now, time to turn more and more to God. Flee from the life you know. Flee from chaos that's out there. Turn to God. It is time for the Lord's vengeance. He will pay her what she deserves. Babylon was a gold cup in the Lord's hand. She made the whole earth drunk. The nations drank her wine. Therefore they have now gone mad. Babylon will suddenly fall and be broken. Wail over her. Get balm on her. Get balm for her pain. Perhaps she can be healed. No. We would have healed Babylon, but she cannot be healed. Let us leave her and each go to our own land, for her judgment reaches to the skies. It rises as high as the heavens. The Lord has vindicated us. Come, let us tell in Zion what the Lord our God has done. Sharpen the arrows, take up the shield. The Lord has stirred up the kings of the Medes, because his purpose is to destroy Babylon. The Lord will take vengeance for his temple. Lift up a banner against the walls of Babylon. Reinforce the guards, station the watchmen, prepare an ambush. The Lord will carry out his purpose, his decree against the people of Babylon. You who live by many waters and are rich in treasures, your end has come. Now the wealthy of the world, the end is coming. Time for you to be destroyed. The Lord Almighty has sworn by himself, I will surely fill you with troops as with a swarm of locusts, and they will shout in triumph over you. He made the earth by his power, he founded the world by his wisdom, he stretched out the heavens by his understanding. When he thunders, the waters in the heavens roar. He makes clouds rise from the ends of the earth. He sends lightning with the rain, brings out the wind from his storehouses. Who can withstand him? These powers in nature, which we haven't even fully experienced all. God can handle, cause to bring about just like that. Everyone is senseless and without knowledge. Every goldsmith is shamed by his idols. The images he makes are fraud. They have no breath in them. They are worthless, the objects of mockery. When the judgment comes, they will perish. He who is the portion of Jacob is not like these, for he is the maker of all things, including the people of his inheritance. The Lord Almighty is his name. Who is the portion of Jacob? God. You are my war club, my weapon for battle. With you I shatter nations. With you I destroy kingdoms. With you I shatter horse and rider. With you I shatter chariot and driver. With you I shatter man and woman. With you I shatter old man and youth. With you I shatter young man and young woman. With you I shatter shepherd and flock. With you I shatter farmer and oxen. With you I shatter governors and officials. Before your eyes I will repay Babylon, all who live in Babylonia, for all the wrong they have done in Zion, declares the Lord. All will be repaid for their evil. I am against you, you destroying mountain, you who destroy the whole earth, declares the Lord. We were given possession of this earth, caretakers, we have not done. I'll stretch out my hand against you, roll you off the cliffs, make you a burned-out mountain. No rock will be taken from you for a cornerstone, nor any stone for a foundation. For you'll be desolate forever, declares the Lord. Lift up a banner in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations for battle against her. Summon against her these kingdoms: Ararat, Mini, and Ashkenaz. Appoint a commander against her, send up horses like a swarm of locusts. Prepare the nations for battle against her, the kings of the Medes, their governors and all their officials, and all the countries they rule. The land trembles and writhes, for the Lord's purposes against Babylon stand, to lay waste the land of Babylon, so that no one will live there. Babylon's warriors have stopped fighting, they remain in their strongholds. Their strength is exhausted, they have become weaklings. Their dwellings are set on fire, the bars of her gates are broken. One courier follows another, a messenger follows a messenger to announce the king of Babylon that his entire city is captured. The river crossing seized, the marshes set on fire, and the soldiers terrified. It all came to pass then, and at least what's coming to pass now. This is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says: Daughter Babylon is like a threshing floor at the time it is trampled. The time to harvest her will soon come. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, has devoured us. He has thrown us into confusion. He has made us an empty jar. Like a serpent, he has swallowed us and filled his stomach with our delicacies, and then has spewed us out. So, like him, the leaders of these countries, these nations, they're not as anybody else. They chew things up, chew people up, chew beings up in their lives, and spit them out for their own amusement, their own empowerment, their own self, their own increase in wealth. They care not for their peoples. May the violence done to our flesh be on Babylon, say the inhabitants of Zion. May our blood be on those who live in Babylonia, says Jerusalem. Therefore, this is what the Lord says: See, I will defend your cause and avenge you. I will dry up her sea and make her springs dry. Babylon will be a heap of ruins, a haunt of jackals, an object of horror and scorn, a place where no one lives. Her people will roar like young lions, they growl like lion cubs. But while they are aroused, I will set out a feast for them, and make them drunk, so that they shout with laughter, and they sleep forever and not awake, declares the Lord. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams and goats. How Shishak will be captured, the boast of the whole earth sees. How desolate Babylon will be among the nations. The sea will rise over Babylon, its roaring waves will cover her. Her towns will be desolate, a dry and desert land, a land where no one lives, through which no one travels. I will punish Bel in Babylon and make him spew out what he has swallowed. The nations will no longer stream to him, and the wall of Babylon will fall. Come out of her again. This is Psalms 12. Don't worry about what others are doing, the wealth they're accumulating, and fame and all that. They're going nowhere fast. Looks like they are. Don't be envious or jealous of them, because they're going, as they're exalting themselves, and you're remaining humble and humbling yourself, you will be exalted by God. So don't worry about what's going on with your life in this world. Focus on God. I'll bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams and goats. Where was I? Nations will fall. Come out of her, my people. Run for your lives. Run from the fierce anger of the Lord. Do not lose heart or be afraid when rumors are heard in the land. One rumor comes this year, another the next. Rumors of violence in the land and of ruler against ruler. The time will surely come when I will punish the idols of Babylon. These rumors, this information. Her whole land will be disgraced, and her slain will all lie fallen within her. Then heaven and earth and all that is in them will shout for joy over Babylon. For out of the north destroyers will attack her, declares the Lord. Babylon must fall because of Israel's slain, just as the slain in all the earth have fallen because of Babylon. You who have escaped the sword, leave and do not linger. Remember the Lord in a distant land, and call to mind Jerusalem. We are disgraced, for we have been insulted, and shame covers our faces, because foreigners have entered the holy places of the Lord's house. But days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will punish her idols, and throughout her land the wounded will groan. Even as Babylon ascends to the heavens and fortifies her lofty stronghold, I will send destroyers against her, declares the Lord. Don't think of Babylon as Iraq, where it used to exist. You think again. Don't go by verbatim what is being said. It's all symbolic. The sound of a cry comes from Babylon. The sound of great destruction from the land of the Babylonians. The Lord will destroy Babylon. He will silence her noisy din. Waves of enemies will rage like great waters. The roar of her voices will resound. The destroyer will come against Babylon. Her warriors will be captured, and the bows will be broken. The Lord is a God of retribution. He will pay in full. I will make her officials and wise men drunk, her governors, officers, and warriors as well. They will sleep forever and not awake, declares the King, whose name is the Lord Almighty. This is what the Lord Almighty says: Babylon's thick wall will be level, The high gate set on fire. Peoples exhaust themselves for nothing. The nation's labor is only fuel for the flames. They continue to feeding the fire, the corrupted fire, the corruption. This is the message Jeremiah the prophet gave to the staff officer, Sariah, son of Neriah, the son of Messiah, when he went to Babylon with Zedekiah, king of Judah, in the 4th year of his reign. Jeremiah had written on a scroll about all the disasters that would come upon Babylon, all that had been recorded concerning Babylon. He said to Sariah, when you get to Babylon, see that you read all these words aloud. Then say, Lord, you have said you will destroy this place so that neither people nor animals will live in it. It will be desolate forever. When you finish reading this scroll, tie a stone to it and throw it into the Euphrates. Then say, so will Babylon sink to rise no more because of the disaster I will bring on her, and the people will fall. Words of Jeremiah end here. So that's all the prophecies were given to Jeremiah to share. 52, I guess it's just kind of wrapping things up. After all the prophecies were given to him, chapter 52, Zedekiah was 21 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 11 years. His mother's name was Hamutal, daughter of Jeremiah. She was from Libnah. So I don't know if the king's daughter was, the wife was the daughter of Jeremiah the prophet, or is this a different Jeremiah? Assuming it's of the prophet. Zedekiah did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as Jehoiakim had done. It was because of the Lord's anger that all this happened to Jerusalem and Judah, and in the end he thrust them from his presence. And again, Jehoiakim with a K, who was sent to the light. Now Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. So in the 9th year of Zedekiah's reign, on the 10th day of the 10th month, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, marched against Jerusalem with his whole army. They encamped outside the city and built siege works all around it. The city was kept under siege until the 11th year of King Zedekiah's reign. It's like a wrap-up of summary. By the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine in the city became so severe that there was no food for the people to eat. Then the city walls broken through, and the whole army fled. They left the city at night through the gate between the two walls near the king's garden, though the Babylonians were surrounding the city. They fled toward the Arabah, but the Babylonian army pursued King Zedekiah and overtook him in the plains of Jericho. All his soldiers were separated from him and scattered, and he was captured. He was taken to the king of Babylon at Riblah in the land of Hamath, where he pronounced sentence to him. There at Riblah, the king of Babylon killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. He also killed all the officials of Judah. Then he put out Zedekiah's eyes, bound him with bronze shackles, and took him to Babylon, where he put him in prison till the day of his death. On the 10th day of the 5th month, in the 19th year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, Nebuzaradan, commander of the imperial guard who served the king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem. He set fire to the temple of the Lord, the royal palace, and all the houses of Jerusalem. Every important building he burned down. The whole Babylonian army under the commander of the imperial guard broke down all the walls around Jerusalem. Nebuzaradan, the commander of the guard, carried into exile some of the poorest people and those who remained in the city, along with the rest of the craftsmen and those who had deserted the king of Babylon. But Nebuzaradan left behind the rest of the poorest people of the land to work the vineyards and fields. The Babylonians broke up the bronze pillars, the movable stands, and the bronze sea that were at the temple of the Lord, and they carried all the bronze to Babylon. They also took away the pots, shovels, everything they possessed. They took it away. All the holy articles used in temple service, bowls, censers, basins, lampstands, all taken. All are made of pure, all the gold and silver, bronze. Bronze from 2 pillars of the sea, and the 12 bronze bulls under it, and its movable stands, which King Solomon had made for the temple of the Lord, was more than could be weighed. Each pillar was described the size of each pillar. 96. Doesn't just gives the names of different pieces, parts of the pillars. Took them back to Babylon. The commander of the guard took his prisoners, the chief priest next in rank, and the 3 doorkeepers. Those left, he took the officer in charge of the fighting men, and 7 royal advisors. He took the secretary, took all the officers and royals and nobles. So Judah basically went into captivity away from her land. This is the number of the people that Nebuchadnezzar carried into exile. In the 7th year, 3,023 Jews. In Nebuchadnezzar's 18th year, 832 people from Jerusalem. In his 23rd year, 745 Jews taken in exile by Nebuzaradan, the commander of the imperial guard. There are 4,600 people in all were taken into captivity. In the 37th year of the exile of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, which was the son of Jehoiakim, who was worse than him, in the year of Marduk, king of Babylon, on the 25th day of the 12th month, he released Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and freed him from prison. He spoke kindly to him and gave him a seat of honor higher than those of the other kings who were with him in Babylon. So Jehoiakim put aside his prison clothes and for the rest of his life ate regularly at the king's table. Day by day, the king of Babylon gave Jehoiakim a regular allowance as long as he lived to the day of his death. So he had it easy, considering how bad he was. That was just a summary of Jeremiah, what occurred. So that's again all these prophets going to Isaiah next can be a lot of similar stuff, prophecies that pertain to then, but also speak of now and what's happening, what's going to happen. So hope all that gave a little bit more understanding. When you go to read the Bible, reading these prophets, don't look at them as just historical. Also look at them as prophetic, because they are prophecies of that time and of now. So keep that in mind. And you may see correlations that I don't see. Until next time on that, next video will be old messages. Stay safe. Peace of Christ. God bless.